And even in the face of criticism, when you're mayor, people don't want you to ever leave town, and I never want to leave town. But I've been in Washington every 2 or 3 months since I've been your mayor in the city of Los Angeles. Because being in front of both sides of the aisle, both houses of Congress and the White House, means things like when you sit down with the head of the President's Office of Management and Budget Director, that we can move things up, like funding for the second phase of the Purple Line by a year. That gets written to the budget even before we get the official notification from the Department of Transportation. We have nearly $3 billion in the last 22 months that trips to Washington have brought back to accelerate the work that we have. And people love us in Washington. They're jealous of us. Our lady, my friend, has said, you know, you go up there and all his fellow directors that have been on the East Coast say, LA's getting all the money. Well, it's about time. And I'll tell you why. It's because everybody here helped us make sure that when you go to Washington, the new paradigm is you cannot go to Washington with an empty hat in hand. You will get $0 back. But if you come with a half-filled hat, they get excited about topping it off. That's the new federal-local partnership. And for cities that haven't learned that yet, they're struggling and hurrying to try to figure out how they can get the local revenues that we have in place. Beyond rail, I know that it is important for us not to just be rail fetishists. We have to look at buses and make sure that we understand the importance of how people actually mostly still travel through this city. 75% of our ridership is on bus lines. And bus lanes, which we've been aggressive about opening, whether it's the new carpool lanes along the 405, where we've put a dedicated new line to shave a half hour off of your commute between the Valley and UCLA, or whether it's the BRT lines, which I still encourage my neighboring cities to join us with. On Wilshire Boulevard, 5 miles that we just opened up last week, they can shave 15 minutes on. Those lanes are also the future lanes for shared cars, for autonomous vehicles, for the new technologies that are coming in the ways that we'll be able to move and still see the city above ground. And they're cost-effective, they're delivering what people need now, and together with rail, showing us a vision of what the city can be. As mayor, though, of this city here of Los Angeles, I'm very cognizant that I've won, as Don Canalvi likes to introduce me, just one of the 88 mayors of LA County. In my 87 years, I've put an unprecedented amount of work to change what the role of the mayor of the city of Los Angeles is. And instead of just being kind of the 800-pound gorilla, I know that we are only 4 million of the 10 million people in LA County. So I've given the respect, and I've done the convening to all my fellow mayors in the 87 other cities, really 88 with the unincorporated areas of the county. And 5 times we have brought together the 88 mayors of LA County, something never done before, and we're about to have our 6th, where we talk about transportation, where we come together, and where we deal with those issues that ignore borders. Transportation and traffic ignores borders, crime ignores borders, economic development ignores borders, environmental degradation ignores borders. So it's time for us all to start acting as a single city, to be proud that we are all Angelinos, as well as being proud from being from Venice, or Santa Monica, or Pomona, or Lakewood. Those things that we can do to form one region, make us strong in Sacramento, make us strong in Washington, and show to our constituents that we are planning things together. That it's not the big city of LA screwing over another part of the county, or that part of the county trying to take money from the city of LA, but that we have people that live in Los Angeles and work in Pasadena, and people who live in Pomona and work in Los Angeles, and that we have to start thinking that way, funding that way, and planning that way. I'm very excited that following on the extraordinary work that Art Leahy has done, and I want to personally thank him. We had his goodbye celebration here in this room. That we have a dynamic leader who's going to take the baton from Art, Phil Washington, who we're going to be welcoming as the new CEO next month here to Los Angeles. He brings an incredible amount of experience. Denver is neck and neck with Los Angeles, is doing the most in public transportation in this country. And he's delivered one of the only public-private partnerships currently underway to link their transit system with their airport, sound familiar, as well as accelerating a lot of the work that they have been doing to make sure that they have public transportation options. Looking to the year ahead, Phil will oversee the final stages to connect downtown to the beach, and we're already testing cars along the Expo line. We're going to complete the Foothill Gold Line extension to Azusa, and hopefully plan to push beyond. I believe our transportation future, though, depends on the decisions that we will make in this room and in the quiet conversations we have throughout this county. I've said in the past, and I'll say it again, there isn't a silver bullet for dealing with our traffic woes. It took a long time for us to get here, and it won't be overnight that we get out. But there's a two-pronged approach that we can take to make sure that we're on the leading edge of changes that are upon us and breaking new ground to create change. It's why I directed, for instance, our airport commission in LAX to allow sidecar and Uber and Lyft to pick up passengers by the end of the summer, to reduce regulations on the taxis to make it an even playing field for our taxis and our rideshare companies as well. We can either, you see, lag behind innovation, or we can embrace it, and we can be the innovators. My Great Streets initiative is setting the standards for how we take the backbones of our main neighborhoods and look at true transportation planning. So whether it's Reseda Boulevard that we just put a protected bike lane out on, that allows cyclists to actually have a protected lane and then the parked cars go into the center from there, or whether it's the way that we're looking at making sure there's wider sidewalks and better signage, whether it's the parking signs that we're debuting right now between 2nd and 9th Street on 2nd and 9th on Spring and Main Street, that actually you can look at and see a color at a time and realize whether you can park there rather than us playing trickery to get a ticket. We want you to be able to shop, eat, do the things you want to do, not get a ticket in the city of Los Angeles. And next year we will finally be launching bike share for LA County, putting us on par with other cities in states like London, Paris, New York. The first phase of bike share will bring 1,000 bikes and 60 stations to downtown Los Angeles, with subsequent extension not just within our city limits, but countywide. Why should somebody from Atwater Village have to switch bikes when they go to Glendale, or somebody from Venice into Santa Monica? And I want to praise Santa Monica for taking the lead as well, and they're moving forward with their bike share, and hopefully will be integrated systems. But we're also taking the lead in technology. I think we're going to have to build our way out of this, we're going to have to change our behavior out of this, we're going to have to use technology to help us out of the current traffic situation. Just yesterday, we announced a new partnership with Waze. We're the #1 Waze, no surprise, market in the country in terms of number of users. 1.3 million people use Waze every single day. We're second in the world, and probably soon going to be #1. And we announced yesterday at our ADSAC headquarters, our automated traffic control system, that we are partnering with Waze to share data both directions. Waze is going to share info with ourselves, and Metro has already been doing this, by the way, and vice versa. We will be able to give our information. For instance, when there's a street closure, well, maybe it's because we're paving the street, so somebody can now see on Waze, oh, for the next 3 days I shouldn't go there, and hey, it's nice to know that that's there. Or pushing out information when there's a hit and run. When we saw the 88 fatalities on pedestrians and hit and runs last year in LA City alone, that immediately people who are there can get a notification on Waze, see the car, help the police apprehend and bring that person to justice. We are using this as a two-way street, because technology, whether it's now the LA DOT, with our dash buses you can pay using a smartphone app, and we're developing that for Metro, whether it's sharing with Waze, or the parking signs that I mentioned, which have on the back of them beacons that allow people to actually develop apps in a geographical way, an app that will show you red or green to somebody entrepreneurial here, yes you can park, no you can't park, and also let you know it's 10% off, food in the restaurant right next to where you just parked, to help spur our economy. At the same time, we're improving the quality of life. LA for so long has been on the cutting edge, but mostly of car culture. It was an innovation at the time. It was cutting edge in its day. But we have to decide what is the cutting edge for us. And let me end by saying this, because I know this is all about Measure R 2.0. People today, even less than at the time when Measure R was passed and Measure J put forward, are skeptical about tax increases. It's a tougher lift today than it was then. Even though I know the recession had just started, and still we didn't realize it was going to be the Great Recession. There was a presidential election, which was helpful. Our work is cut out for us in this room. And I will offer first that I have put in the work to build what I think we didn't always do in the past, which is a countywide coalition. I'm the first Los Angeles City Mayor to visit our COGs in places like the Gateway Cities, San Gabriel. We're engaging with North County and looking at the South Bay COG and the West Side COG and making sure that we build a real coalition. The first mayor to go visit SCAG since Tom Bradley, if you can believe that. SCAG, which is responsible for our regional transportation planning. No mayor had visited since Tom Bradley. And people appreciated that, and vice versa, I appreciated it, because I could hear from my fellow mayors, council members, supervisors, leaders from 5 counties about what we can do to plan together. But we have to be louder about the successes in jobs, in transportation, in health of the first Measure R, if we're going to be in the position to be able to go back to the voters and get a 2/3 majority to vote. I've always said the most important part of leading is not learning how to talk. I know I'm not modeling this particularly well right now because you've asked me to talk. But the mark of a good leader is learning how to listen. And so all of us as a room full of leaders have to listen, have to engage in the conversations in every Kiwanis Club, in every Chamber of Commerce, in every neighborhood association. We have to build an army of people who can rise up to say, enough is enough, we want to see new options and a new city be built. And we're willing to step up and pay for that out of our own pocket if we can see the trust and we can see the record of delivery in what has happened before. I'm laying the foundation as Metro Chair to make sure we're in a good position to do that. We build on the work of the past, as Danny said in my introduction. I want to praise Mayor Villaraigosa, the work that he did with Measure R, and the countywide supervisors who helped that get passed, and the coalition of countywide mayors and local officials who supported that. But this is going to have to be a campaign where, if it moves forward, we're going to have to be perfect. Look at the votes last time. Measure R was 66.8, 67, and 66.4 was Measure J. Well, I went up a little bit, but 66. Both of them have been on the razor's edge. And for us to get there, let me leave you with this, a call to arms. If we don't move forward with something big, if we don't get something passed the next time we go bold, we will see some very significant changes. But we won't have the system intermesh in a way that you can go from anywhere to anywhere with 2 or 3 different options in this town. We have to think about the technologies that are coming. Let's not plan the elements of a future Measure R based on just the way that we built things in the past. We have to be cognizant that the pace of technological change for transportation is dizzying, and we may look back 10 years from now and say, wow, why didn't we anticipate that's how people would move through the city? We have to talk to the young people that are in this city and ask them what their needs and their desires are. When people aren't turning 16 and trying to get their driver's licenses anymore, but are demanding good bike lanes, main streets that work, and better ways that they can get around and easy ways to pay for it. We have to look at the ways that we can each put our own behavior out there and use, whether it's technology or just changes in our behavior. As I've said to this group, I think before, my favorite stat about LA County traffic is that the average car has 1.1 passengers in it. And if the average car had 1.6 passengers in it, without building a single new thing, we take enough cars off the road to not have any traffic here.
Yeah.
So the power of what we can do as individuals, the power of what we can put before the voters, and the power of what we can do collectively through technology and through good planning means that we can see a city that people will look to around the world as an example. LA should be where we embody the good life. It increasingly is the place where people are seeing the new city. It's a picture of what America will look like and what the world is today. And as such, we have an opportunity to look back at this moment in time, this inflection point. To move LA forward is to move our minds of possibility forward as well. And for the world to see, this is the first true great modern city in the world, and we have a hand in building it. Thank you. Have a lovely day.